like, you know, the mountains, it's mountainous, you know, and there's roads that swing around the mountains and everything. And they found the right spot where they ran me off the road, you know, and I saw the face of the one guy as the window went by, and as I was rolling down the hill, I went down the hill, the car went over and over, and just before it went over, there was a ledge there that must have went down another 50 feet. A tree wound up stopping it. And then I was like in a stupor in the car upside down, and what really woke me up was the smell of gasoline pouring out of the car. And that's when I kicked out the window, and I just, you know, scurried up out of there like a squirrel. And then he said, so this is what it's come to. All right? You know.
And you knew who it was. You figured out who did it?
Oh, sure. It had to be. I mean, things like this don't just happen. They got to get authorized. People have to agree with it. That means the guy I'm with had to agree to it. So that sort of sets me off a little bit now, too, because I know that. All right? But they send clowns, like they do sometimes. They send clowns. You know? So it didn't work out for them. If that tree wasn't there, it would have worked out for them. You know? But it was there. You know?
So do you retaliate? Is the retaliation, though, comes in the form of going to the FBI?
Well, yeah, that comes a little later. That comes after I get fed up. I mean, you know, there were a lot of girls in this business, too, George. I mean, I retaliated in my own way with these guys. You know, sent them a message back without the use of the feds. You know, and that sort of made things a little quiet. They wanted to go to the table. They wanted to talk. Meanwhile, I know my guy had to give the okay, even though he denies it. But still, he went to the table and everything. We sort of worked things out temporarily there, you know. And I was going to consider, you know, that's the way we left it. I was going to consider cooperating with the importation of, you know, girls that we were going to force into prostitution. You know, I was going to consider it. So we left the table like that. It was up in the air a little bit. But really what irked me, you know, there were a lot of girls, I still get, you know, from another address, I still get postcards every now and then from certain girls. There were girls in this business, they weren't all screwed up in the head. The majority of them were. Okay, I'll grant you that. But, you know, in every majority there is a minority, you know, of people that aren't screwed up in the head, really, and they were just using this profession as a stepping stone to get what they wanted out of life. I mean, a girl could work, you know, 2-3 nights a week, make herself $1,000 or $2,000, you know, and that was great. The rest of the week she could go to school, you know, and become something. And a lot of them did. They went to college. I mean, I had girls that went, one girl that went to Farley Dickinson University, dental school. She became a dentist in another state. You know, one even became an ADA in another state. Okay? Some of them became, a lot of them became professionals. A lot of them we helped. You know, a lot of them I lent money. See, that's another thing other escort agencies did. They would lend money to girls and charge them Shylock rates to pay it back, so they would never pay it back, and they figured they would catch it. Me, I wouldn't charge them any Shylock rates. I'd tell them, listen, you pay back what you owe. If you want $1,000, one time a girl she had to buy books. She was going to college. She didn't have like $500 worth of books. She was going to medical school. And she didn't have the extra money. She didn't work that week. She was sick. She had the flu. She needed to get these books. So I lent her the money, and she paid it back. You know, my theories didn't work as well. Their theories worked with force. My theory worked with you can get a lot more with sugar than you can get with vinegar. All right?
So there was one girl. Is this the girl you're talking about who then the same one you loaned the money to for medical school or something?
Well, there was a girl there that I did loan money to, right? She was on her way, you know, to be somebody. Using this business as a stepping stone. Was not screwed up in the head. But like all these girls, you know, if they think they're not going to make money with you one night, they will dabble. They will try someplace else, you know, just to see, to test the waters. And she was a young kid. She happened to be a very good-looking girl, too. And she wound up going to work for this other agency. And the guy who owned this place was another guy who owned it. Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
It was another guy that ran this place like his own playground, you know. And she wound up going to work over it. And the drivers that worked for him were told that if anything really good-looking or gorgeous, exceptional, call the office, let them know. So so that he would know, and then he could latch on to the girl. All right. In any event, that's what happened. You know, he wound up latching her. First, he posed as a customer, you know, when he saw her to test her out. And then he wound up latching on to her, telling her who he was, and he started making her his, you know, his what they call a gomad, you know, which is like a girlfriend that the wife don't know about. And he started taking her on trips and everything else. But he was a big coke fiend, this guy. You know, he liked putting it up his nose and everything else. And he got her hooked on it. And one thing led to another. She got really strung out, you know. And then one day they just found her dead. Okay, up in her apartment. Actually, they didn't find her. One of his mooks went up there because they didn't hear from her in 3 or 4 days. Went up there to see what was going on, and there she was, dead in the apartment that he was paying for. So of course they wanted to get her out of the apartment. So this mook wraps her up in a rug, takes her downstairs, and puts her in a dumpster. All right. Meanwhile, the cops, you know, they do their investigation because the body's found and this and that, and they find out, you know, that it was this mook. It didn't lead back to the other guy, but they find out it was this mook that dumped her in a dumpster. And all this guy winds up getting charged with after they do the autopsy. Find out, they get him for the illegal disposal of a body, which was like a nothing charge. And and that was like the last straw with me because, like, you know, nobody deserves to die in a rug and get dumped in a dumpster. There was somebody that cared about this person. She did have family somewhere. I mean, you know, and she was using his business as a stepping stone. She probably would have lasted in his business working for the right people. She would have probably lasted in the business maybe a couple of years, and she would have went on to be something, you know. But she never got that opportunity because this guy grabbed a hold of her and defiled her, and that was it.
So you decided to go. Did you call the FBI or did you know somebody?
Yeah, I went to them myself. Yeah, they had nothing on me. Nobody was looking at me at the time or anything else. All right, for anything.
And what'd you tell them you'd do?
I told them I'd do whatever they wanted to do. I told them what was going on. I told them also that we were opening up in Las Vegas soon. All right. I also told them, you know, that we were in Vegas already open. Okay, I started talking to them right around that time when we just opened in Vegas. And I told them what was happening out in Vegas, you know, because all of a sudden I take a pinch in the Desert Inn. I get set up by this so-called madam who she was in.
Save that story. Save that story, Tony.
So we're gonna. That one. But anyway, I get involved with them.
Well, we're going to take a short break, so hold on, hold that thought. We'll be right back with more of Coast to Coast AM. I'm George Knapp.